The uBloom trend analysis is brought to you by Design Master Color Tool, Esprit Miami, the Garcia Group, and Reliant Ribbon.
Welcome to the uBloom trend analysis on Fun with Flowers and Jay. I'm Jay Schwanke. Instead of forecasting trends of the future that might be relevant, we'll explore how trends overlap, how colors combine into palettes, and how color and trend are a part of our everyday lives. The uBloom trend analysis keeps you at the forefront of what's happening now and shows you how flowers easily incorporate into any trend. I'll be guiding you through 4 concepts that relate flowers to classic, current, and emerging trends that are important today and will continue this year and next. Welcome to Fun with Flowers and Jay. Today, on Fun with Flowers and Jay, we're exploring the eco-green concept further and creating a project with flowers and foliage that evoke the eco-green concept. So for our eco-green arrangement, we're going to use a willow basket. I like this basket because it's natural. It doesn't have any weird finishes on it or anything like that. It looks very naturalistic. And again, staying in tune with our eco-green trend concept in the uBloom trend analysis, we want to keep this as natural as possible. I'm building up the foam in the base. There's a hard plastic liner inside. And we're simply wedging our bricks together and then using a wood stake to drive it down at an opposing angle. So I've got 4 stakes that have gone into the center, and we'll put 2 more in here just to secure it in place. Trimming those off, and then we'll bevel the edge of the foam. There's also plenty of room on either side for lots of water. I usually wait until I'm done with the arrangement to fill it up with water. Because there will be water that's displaced, I don't want it to overfill and come out onto the table. We'll start with some moss. Again, what could be more natural than having moss? I also like to stretch the moss apart in certain areas, so if I want to drive a stem through it, I don't have trouble doing that. It's easier to do that now than it is to do it later. I've also got it riding up on the edge so that it doesn't disappear under the content of the basket. Many times, people might use moss to cover the entire piece of foam. In this case, with our eco-green concept, we want to make sure that this is an element that's seen and appreciated. We'll start with some green hydrangeas. There are several types of green hydrangeas. In this case, because we're working with the eco-green concept, I like the ones that have the new growth. My secret to great hydrangeas is to order them from Esprit. I never have any issue with hydrangeas that come from Esprit. Now I've grouped these together, but in a natural circumstance, I might have another one that might shoot up on the other side. And I might also have one that's down deep inside and kind of hidden. So now, that starts to look almost like there's a hydrangea bush that's growing up inside here. My next addition of texture is going to be a bunch of green wheat. This is from Ocean View, and it's part of their texture collection. And texture is important in so many of the trend concepts that we talk about. And here, I want it to be natural. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of bind wire from Reliant Ribbon. It's a craft covered wire that's green. I'm simply going to wrap it around the stems of the wheat to bind it together. I'm also not going to make it real even. I want it to have a very spontaneous type look, so it has just a very natural look about it. We're going to add that to the basket over our moss. And again, I'm just going to place this by using a wood pick and through the moss and into my foam. We'll do one more on the other side. Now for now, I'm gonna leave those stakes sticking up because I may cover them up with something else, and if they're exposed at the end, I can trim them off. But it's gonna hold it in place so I can have it exactly where I want it to be. Having it extend out this side of the basket and this side of the basket is important. Now this is another great natural looking piece of material that comes from Reliant Ribbon. It's a very natural jute type ribbon. I'm gonna cut it off to start with. And it's doubled over, so there's two pieces. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come to this end and I'm just gonna tear that off so that it gives it a more primitive look as opposed to being so structured and cut off. I'm simply gonna shove it through the arrangement. Now, I know that's a great term, but at the same time, I want it to have some spontaneity. I could even pull a little hole in there and tuck that over our wheat. Now the next step, we'll add bunches of foliages, and I've got several different kinds. Now remember how we talk about the fact that trends overlap one another. This is the eco-green trend concept. But at the same time, this wonderful grevillea foliage has an incredible fragrance. So fragrance, even being part of Fragrant Garden, can carry over here to help us evoke a different type of trend. It's the same way that we talk about color. In this arrangement, we're using lots of greens today. But at the same time, we can evoke an eco-green trend and introduce one more color. So in this case, we've got a great look that's eco-green, and we've introduced a Milva rose as part of the color scheme. It starts to pick up the color in the hypericum, it picks up the color in the leucodendron, and it matches well with the artichokes that we have. So remember, just because an arrangement is completely green doesn't mean that you have to be literal about eco-green. You can have environmental and organic products and introduce color to make it thematic for your event. So now we'll bring in some floral content. And again, it has texture, but it's very, very naturalistic. So we've got artichokes, we have hydrangeas, we have Fujimums. And notice that I called them Fujimums, not spider mums. I believe that people like to think about chrysanthemums with their roots and their ancestry in Japanese flower design. These were called Fujimums originally, and we Americanized them and started calling them spider mums. I don't like talking about there being spiders in my arrangement. I like there to be flowers, chrysanthemums, floral content in my arrangement. This great new rose from Green Valley called Green Eye, now that embodies what we're talking about in this organic flavor. Having the center of that rose being like a living, growing, botanical piece is a real important element. And Green Diosa spray roses from Euphoria. These are beautiful. And that green color matches in, and it's going to give us more of that great botanical flavor. So now we'll add the flowers. this case, we've created a big arrangement. And I created a big arrangement so you could understand the concept. But remember, it's not about scale. It's about using the elements effectively. Again, in the case of our small arrangement, we still have those same elements. We've got a natural box. We've got moss. We have an artichoke. And we've introduced color. We could introduce color with something like eryngium as well. And remember that different types of foliages work well too. Ivy runners like this would be perfect. It doesn't have to be the exact same materials that I used. It's about the way that the materials work together to create that botanical feeling. We love the fact that it's eco-green. There's local pieces, there's texture, there's green colors, there's natural pieces, there's elements that look as if they came from nature. That's the secret behind the eco-green concept. Until next time, keep having fun with flowers.